onto the movie itself. Well, it starts off with it's spoilers from here on. Okay, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, don't listen. Right, it starts off with the fourth Hokage fighting the Kyuubi. Um, it's like a reanimation, I suppose, of what we saw in the special episode that showed the birth of Naruto and Minato and Kushina's relationship. More or less what the manga showed us. But it was very, very well animated, very amazing. I loved it, absolutely. It's such a great way to start a film. It really started Road Ninja off with a bang. And of course, you get the epic title scene and stuff. Then you go on to see that Naruto and Co. Are on a mission, and they're currently hiding. They're hiding in the bushes, and Akatsuki have been spotted. They're supposed to be dead, so this is kind of baffling the characters. But what follows is a very nice montage of all the characters' abilities and their dynamics when they fight together. Of course, Naruto's the one who rushes in and uses a Rasengan. So that sets everything off, and the gang have to jump in there and start an impromptu fight. But it's very good because it shows off the techniques of all the characters. You get to see them in their badass glory, if you will, and they just fight. It's really good. You do get some pairing moments in the film, and that's very good. Since I'm a NaruHina and SasuSaku fan, this part of the review, when it comes to pairings, might be slightly biased. So I just thought I'd forewarn you now. And there is a small NaruHina moment during this part of the film, because I can't quite remember what Naruto says to Hinata, but it makes her blush and smile. And then, of course, she gets back into her badass mode and starts fighting. I think he says something about be careful or do your best, Hinata. Either way, it expresses concern or praise for her, and it makes her blush. I can't quite remember. But I was quite surprised to find that I understood more or less everything that they'd said. I suppose my Japanese is better than I thought it was, and also you got the visual aspect, so that can sort of help elaborate on things. But anyway, once the fight is over, all the ninjas return to Konoha to be met by their parents. And this is where we see Sakura's parents for the first time. And you see their dynamics with them as well. And you also see the parents of Kiba and Ino and Choji and Shikamaru. And you also see Hinata and Neji having a chat with their relatives. So Naruto feels left out. And the conversations that the children are having with their parents is, well, very happy. They're praising their offspring for a good job well done, and some of them are even asking, some of them even say that, oh, it won't be long before you become a Jonin. And if I remember rightly, I think after a brief argument, some brief bantering, I think they say that to Sakura as well, something along the lines. I can't quite remember. But they do argue, and it's interesting to see the kind of dynamics they have with each other. And it was quite sad to see Naruto being so left out, but it gives you an insight into what Naruto has to deal with every time he comes back from a mission, and any of the parents compliment their children, because he doesn't have that. And it must be so heart-wrenching for him. And well, it was quite sad to watch that. But let me warn you now, that isn't the worst of it when it comes to Naruto's anguish, when it comes to his family. But yeah, after that, Naruto Naruto goes and has night falls, and Naruto has ramen with um, Iruka, and he just and he's a bit subdued and is feeling a bit upset. And Iruka asks him what's wrong, and Naruto comes out with, "Do you think I could become Jonin someday?" And Iruka, of course, answers with um, the fact that he has still got a long way to go yet, and he's still Genin, so he's got to become Chunin before he becomes Jonin. And this is not what Naruto wanted to hear. He wanted, obviously, to hear some encouragement. So to have such a thing said to him when he's already in a low mood, of course, worsens his overall attitude, his overall demeanour. And when the ramen is served, he feels even worse because he notices there is no Naruto in the ramen. And for those who are unaware of what the significance of Naruto is, Naruto is those little fish cakes with a swirl, usually with a swirly design, that are often a prominent feature of ramen. But it seems that the ramen bar, or the Ichiraku ramen, is not doing it anymore because they've replaced it with something else. Menma. And those are bamboo shoots. Personally, I don't like them. They're chewy, they don't really taste very nice. And I've never tried Naruto before either, because none of the ramen I've actually tried has Naruto. Anyway, that aside, Naruto declares that asks what's going on here, and Ichiraku says that I can't quite remember what they say, but they either said they've run out of it or they've just had a change of menu. I think it's a change, actually, I reckon it's a change of menu. So they've decided to include Menma instead of Naruto, and of course our main character is quite outraged by this, is quite angered by this, and says it's not ramen without Naruto, which I find quite amusing. But given the situation, I wasn't that amused because I understood the significance, and well, Naruto was feeling out of sorts, and so that's sort of symbolised by the lack of his namesake in his favourite meal. So of course he goes off, slams the cash onto the table, and walks off, ignoring Iruku's cries of dismay. And then he's walking around, and I think he wants to go and see how Sakura is doing, because he's feeling alone and down. He wants someone to talk to. He passes by Sakura's house, and he hears that there's a row going on. Sakura is, from what I could understand from the Japanese, Sakura was sick and tired of her parents telling her what to do and treating her like a child. And she shouts out that she's no longer a little kid anymore, and she doesn't want to be treated like one. And then you see her open the door, completely furious, grabs Naruto by the arm, and says, "Right, we're off on a date." Naruto, of course, snapped out of his melancholy and is very surprised. And he's demanding to know what's going on, and she's having none of it, and just says, "Look, come on." And the more he keeps asking her, the more aggravated she gets. And in the end, it ends up with, and in the end, she's just, and she just ends up dragging him by the ear to the park. And that's when she proceeds to vent out her frustrations about her parents and her family life in the household, and her family life to Naruto, quite unaware of how subdued and upset he's feeling. I suppose, like Naruto, she wanted somebody to talk to, but unfortunately for her, the talk ends up being quite one-sided because he doesn't really respond much, but it is evident from his posture that it's just making him feel even worse, and I reckon at that point he was having second thoughts about talking to Sakura about feeling upset, about feeling low, that he has no family to turn to for praise or comfort. So it's very clear that Sakura takes such things as for granted, really, even though she is angry and annoyed by it. One wonders, how would she react if she was in Naruto's situation? And this question does become answered later on in the film. Is answered later on in the film. So after that, Madara appears. He is called Madara in the film, by the way, guys, not Toby. I know there's been a recent revelation about his identity in the manga, but I'm not going to go into that here. This is obviously set before that revelation. And I can't remember when, but somewhere during the film we see that we see Zetsu talking to Madara elsewhere about the Tsuki no Me plan and how he's going to execute it. And he basically intends to look into Naruto's heart, and Sakura's, but more Naruto's, to see what he truly desires, and then cast the Genjutsu. And that's exactly what he does. So when he appears in the park, they try to fight him, but Naruto goes through him, and of course Sakura does the same. She tries to fight him, which is very good. I like the fact that Sakura does get some fighting parts in this. She gets a lot more fighting parts in this compared to other Naruto films, so that's a positive. Anyhow, of course, as I said before, their actions are futile, and Madara holds up this glass globe, is probably the best way to describe it, a glass sphere, and he throws it. He throws it skyward, and it, of course, catches the light of the moon, and the moon turns red. But the light is so bright, it blinds Sakura and Naruto momentarily, and of course, when they open their eyes again, Madara is gone. The only thing left is the crater when Sakura tried to punch him. So, feeling a bit disorientated and a bit confused, they decide to make their way back home because they've decided they're too tired and they've had enough for one day. And they meet the gang. They meet their friends. And of course, this is where some of the scenes in the trailers on YouTube are featured. I can't quite remember who they meet first, but of course, they see, I think they meet Kiba. Yeah, they meet Kiba and Hinata, and I think they meet Shino as well, but I know for certain they meet Kiba and Hinata. They're some of the first people they meet. And of course, they look quite different, but, well, Sakura and Naruto being the frame of mind that they are, they don't notice this. And they ask them, did you see where Madara went? He just appeared in the park and he did something strange and he's gone. Have you seen him? And of course, Kiba and Hinata do not reply, and they have no idea who this Madara is, and of course they ask them. This baffles Naruto and Sakura further, and they start to get an uneasy feeling. And then their conversation is interrupted when Akamaru comes careering out of nowhere and careens straight into Kiba and latches and sinks his teeth into Kiba's leg. Kiba, of course, yells out in pain and tries to remove the dog and tries to disengage and tries to stop the dog from biting him. Best way to describe it is Akamaru looks crazy, like he's almost rabid. It's very scary. He's very different to his docile and cute self. He's very much a shadow of his former self. And he's so aggressive, he's growling and snarling and chewing on Kiba's leg, and Kiba is in pain, trying to get him off. And when he does manage to finally throw the dog off him, the dog runs off, and Naruto and Sakura are gaping. Or maybe not gaping, but they're extremely shocked that Kiba has just treated Akamaru like that, his precious canine friend. And they ask, what's wrong? What's up with it? Why is Akamaru like that? And now it's Kiba's turn to be confused, because he says, well, Akamaru's always been like that, mangy dog. Besides, I'm more inclined to cats anyway. When he says something along those lines, and he proceeds to do, of course, a very cat-like gesture with his hands, including the fact, and complete with little fangs, incisors, canines sticking out of his mouth, and of course the fact that his face markings look like whiskers.